Hey guys, it's Tegan, and I am here with my very first video review to chat about Sony's latest game, Until Dawn, which I'm very excited about. Joining me is my housemate and also great gamer mate Ben O'Brien from Big Head Mode. Ben, thanks for joining.
Tegan, thanks for having me here. I had to travel from all the way over the hall.
I know.
I don't do that for anyone, so, you know.
Look, he's made a lot of sacrifices to be here,
We all have.
and we made a lot of sacrifices in that game.
Oh my god.
So many
brutal sacrifices that I can't take back. There's blood on these hands,
There's
Tegan,
so
and it
many-
won't watch off.
So much blood, and even though you can go back and replay, there's no washing it clean. It's
No.
very Lady Macbeth,
No.
like out damn spot.
It's a game that
yeah.
like I really wanted to do that instant reload checkpoint, and you can't do that
No,
in games.
I'm sorry. What have I done?
It's like in Telltale games or Mass Effect, and like you've made the decision. They're dead.
Yeah.
Even if
They're
you
dead now.
reload checkpoint, they're dead in your heart. You killed them. You killed them.
Dead forever. People that don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll start there. So Until Dawn, I would call it a survival horror. Would you agree with that, Ben?
Yeah, I think so. With a heavy emphasis on narrative and it's like an interactive story, essentially.
And messing with you psychologically.
Oh yeah, in every way.
every which
possible.
way. So I guess going back to the whole classic horror genre, you are on a mountain. Of course, you get trapped there until dawn.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
With a group of teenagers, as you do.
Is there a way to escape? No.
Absolutely not.
No.
You just got to survive. And so, basically, the way that you run through it, you have to survive until dawn and hope that you can get as many of those damn teenagers out as you can.
Yeah. Now,
Will you?
if you're me, no.
Or me.
It follows very similar structure to like Heavy Rain or
Yeah.
those Quantic Dreams games, Beyond Two Souls,
Yeah.
where most of the action is very heavily reliant on that QuickTime events.
Oh, yeah.
And they're done really well, I thought. I mean, I know QuickTime events can be lazy, but
Yeah.
it's just they pop up and you feel so tense. And the best thing about them is pressing the button isn't always the best course of action.
Yeah, so that's one of the really cool things is that you do have an option to absolutely do nothing, and sometimes that is the correct choice. There were several times where I did not make that choice. I wanted to, but out of sheer panic, I pressed something and someone's dead.
And like it was funny too, like us both playing the game at the same time because there were a lot of things that we did differently.
Yeah.
And it's a hard game to talk about because there are a lot of spoilers and
Yes.
narrative things change totally based on what decisions you make.
So different.
Like,
yeah.
The big claim about this game that they make is that literally everyone can die or everyone can live.
Yeah.
And there's any number of combinations within that. And like just the conversations we've had about what did you do with this character? Did they live? Oh no, they're dead. Okay.
Oh no, and that was one of the best things that I found about this game is getting to chat to someone about it that had played it and just had such a different experience. And that was all based on something called the butterfly effect. So if you haven't seen the trailer for that, I highly recommend that you go and do that because it's one of the best parts of the game. Ben, do you want to explain it?
Yeah, I mean, people might be confused. They're not actually referring to the fantastic Ashton Kutcher film. Rather,
I thought they were.
No.
Thank you.
And that's why Ashton Kutcher wasn't in the game. So if you got to the end and you're like, where was Ashton Kutcher? DLC maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe DLC, but
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe, look for Christmas 2015, guys.
No, it refers to the very overplayed concept that butterfly flaps its wings and there's a tsunami somewhere else in the world.
Yeah.
So every action, no matter how small, will have repercussions somewhere in the game.
And boy, does it.
It really does. And sometimes they're sort of obvious. It could be a matter of saving that person or saving that person.
Right.
But there could be instances of like, when you're practicing shooting a BB gun in the very first part of the game and a squirrel pops up on the field, do you shoot the squirrel or not?
Yeah.
And you go, oh, I'm not going to shoot a squirrel. That'd be a dick move. Or maybe you don't.
Maybe.
You do shoot the squirrel.
We're judging you.
Yeah. But whatever you do, you get a little notification that says Butterfly Effect has been updated, and it keeps track of it all on this great screen where you can just flick through. And so the moment you get that update, you go, oh, that's going to have repercussions later.
Oh no, what have I done?
It's like the Telltale games, Kenny will remember that. It's just, the universe knows what you're doing, and you've made a decision whether you know it or not.
And you may pay for it.
And you will.
With people's lives.
Yeah.
So I really like the butterfly element, a butterfly effect element, even though it has been a little bit overplayed, I think it was really perfect for this game. And I thought it was really cool too that there's a huge amount of emphasis put on investigation. So there's a couple of different mysteries happening in the game. I won't give too much away, but finding clues is actually super important to some of your character's survival.
And in fact, clues are a big part of there's a lot of collectibles. There's 3 different sort of trees of clues based on a bunch of different mysteries going on.
Yeah.
Plus there's these really cool things called totems.
Oh, they're awesome. That's so cool.
Totems, basically, you pick it up and it gives you a glimpse at a possible future.
So different types as well.
Yeah, and so there's death, there's
like a chance
loss,
kind of thing too.
Yeah, so you might see one of your characters dying, and that's just one way that they could die.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to cause it, you don't know what's going to trigger it, and there was at least one instance where I reckon being paranoid about that death led to the death.
Yes, absolutely.
Because they're very deliberate. They show you something, like you might see a wolf or something, and you go, oh, I better stay away from that thing. But then doing that might be the very thing that causes the death.
Exactly.
Great.
It's great. Really cool. I won't give too much away about that as well, but I really like the chance ones too, where it kind of shows what you could maybe do. It's not exactly to avoid it, but it maybe gives little hints on how to help them survive, so I really like that. That was really cool.
And it's just that little thing that adds paranoia when you're in the middle of a scene, and all of a sudden you go, I've seen this before.
Yeah.
Something's about to happen, and then you have quick time events, and it just throws that extra element of like, should I not do anything? Should I do? Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I'm a really big fan of that.
I love that. Even though with one of the quick time events, so one of the cool things is that you can a lot of the time take a safe route. Or take the quicker route. I know that you're a big fan of the quicker route. Not this guy. Never the safe route for this one.
Bit of a maverick with the old quick time events. Didn't miss a single quick time event that entire game.
I know. You're so talented, Ben.
I am. No, they're actually genuinely challenging quick time events too.
And one
they're
of them
very fast.
Yeah.
And you have a little timer, and they're frequent.
They are, and even though I took the safe route a lot of the time, one instance I was a little bit too slow. I was like, oh, it's okay, I just tripped, it's fine. I won't say who, but it did actually end up in the death of one of the characters, and it did this really nasty thing of flashing back to exactly where I slipped up and was like, yep, that's what did it. That's what killed her.
I think that's the best thing about the butterfly effect too, is at the end of the game, you can go to the page and flick through every single individual butterfly effect. And you know what the decisions were that led to each thing. So if you do want to replay it, which you can, you know exactly where you want to go. Like you can pinpoint, well, I shouldn't have...
Exactly.
I shouldn't have kicked that guy in the face. Just for no reason.
Exactly.
In hindsight, that was aggressive.
Maybe you shouldn't have done that one. And that's something I like with the replay as well, is that you can go back and play individual chapters. So you don't have to go back and play the whole game again, although I'm very tempted to. You can just go and play around with certain decisions, which I thought was very cool.
I think, it's not the kind of game that I think I'm going to replay straight away.
No.
But it's great to know that, like a good horror movie, when I'm in the mood one night, I can go back and replay it and have a different experience than I did the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, was there anything in the game that you thought wasn't, I guess, really particularly horror-like? Were you scared at all? Or in what way were you scared by this game?
I screwed myself in this game. There is a mechanic that we can't explain too much.
No, we can't say too much about it. We'll ruin it.
But there is a way the game basically tracks what you personally as a gamer are afraid of. It gives you the tools to sort of fill in a few details, what scares you out of an option of things. And without even realising that you're creating your own perfect horror scenario.
Exactly.
And then these things show up in certain ways. Snakes or spiders, clowns, zombies... Whatever.
It's terrifying, but I loved it though. It made it really cool. And we were kind of discussing that if you kind of pick up on what they're doing early, you could lie about it, but I think that would kind of take away from it a little bit.
I did. And
you did lie?
I did.
Ben!
I did.
You filthy liar.
Except I lied about... I said I was more scared of spiders than snakes. Because I was like, snakes are way scarier. But then I was honest about clowns.
No.
And I don't think I saw a single... I saw one spider anyway. And I saw a clown quite a few times.
I find it very interesting that you were scared of clowns, considering that Ben does a rather terrifying clown voice. Do you know what I...
What, my clown laugh?
Yeah, the clown laugh.
What the... Because I'm like Batman. You have to... The only way to master your own fears, Tegan, is to become them.
It's terrifying.
Yeah. But no, I thought it was a good level of horror, like, because it was really atmospheric and a great story. And the horror it's engaging, not just alienating and terrifying. A lot of people are really put off by that. It's not Alien Isolation. You're not going to be cowering in a corner, stressed out of your mind, which is me in a lot of games like that.
Yeah.
You're scared, but you're compelled to keep going.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's what I loved about it.
One thing that I did like as well that kind of brought it into the real world a little bit was certain elements where you weren't supposed to move at all, otherwise you would get so badly screwed.
That was the most tense in the whole game.
Yeah.
So like it uses the PS4 controller's accelerometer or whatever it is, and it's like, don't move the controller. And in some instances, the tiniest breath, like the tiniest alteration, you move, something sees you, and your character's just dead.
Dead, so dead.
Yeah.
And I managed to avoid it. I was dead still every single time except for the very end. Again, not going to say anything about it, but I didn't even feel myself move, and apparently I did.
No,
and it did not end well.
And you don't even get a moment to register the shame.
Not at all.
Before your character is just torn apart in front of you.
Yeah, and speaking of characters as well, there are a few. There's 8, I believe, to start off with, and you get a really personal experience with all of them, which I really appreciated. So they're quite tropey, I would find, in terms of traditional horror.
Very well acted, I think.
Yes,
I mean, I've seen a lot of people comment on, just bad acting or corniness. I think, like, I think it's really well acted. Yeah. But you've got to accept that these are just, like, your stereotypical horror movie fodder. Like,
and
there's the jock and, the sort of the prissy girl and then the really uptight, sassy girl. Like, they're all there.
They're all there. The kind of nerdy sort of guy who's like just completely whipped.
The wise guy, funny guy, uses humour, and you're like, well, he's going to die. And he probably does.
Does he, though? Depends on your game.
He didn't in my game. But...
Oh, good job. All right. So I did like that, and it worked really well. Even, I think we were talking about, there's a certain character, Emily, who neither of us really liked at first. We were bitching about her a lot, and now we came to appreciate her a little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit.
She's still a monster.
But playing as them really did give you that personal experience. Like, you didn't really feel like I'm playing this one character and I'm just relating to these ones around me. You have to have their personal experiences, and I really enjoyed that a lot.
And, like, some of the some recognisable actors in there too, like Hayden Panettiere. Brett Dalton from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I didn't realise he was in it. I just couldn't see him as anything other than Agent Ward from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but he was there.
Did you have a favourite character?
Probably Mike, I think, which is Brett Dalton's character. Just because when you first meet him, he seems like super jockey douche bro, and you just think, I'm not going to like this guy.
Bit of a douche canoe.
Yeah, but when stuff actually starts going wrong, he kicks into action, and I really like that. Because there's always that character in horror movies when stuff goes wrong, that's just like, what is going on? I don't know what to do. And he was just like, he was immediately chasing after this thing. It was like, all right, we're going to punch it in the face, we're going to kick it afterwards and pound some brewskis and keep this party rolling. It was a dude, but I liked it.
Yeah, it actually worked really well. I got to say I really like Sam, who is Hayden Panettiere character. Felt like, even though it did this thing which I really hate, where she was maybe the one female character who I really liked, they still had her walking around in a towel at one point, which I didn't do, because of course it's horror, but she was a really cool character.
And she spent way too long in that towel.
Oh, so long in that towel.
There were so many scenes where I was just like, someone just give her a blanket or something. Just drape her with anything to cover that up. But, she was a good character. Yeah, she was really, really cool.
Was there anything about the game that you weren't particularly fond of at all?
A couple of niggly points, and they're not huge. Some people might hate them. When you have to pick items up, it's this really arbitrary pickup system. Like any other game, you'd press one button and then just pick it up.
Pick it up.
This, you press the right trigger to pick it up. Then you wait for
then
the
it kind of goes like that.
Then you use the left stick to turn it around.
Yeah.
Then you move it to study it. Oh, there's the interesting item. And it takes like 30 seconds just to pick something up and look at it. That's right.
And the clues are never on the front. It could be an official document that you find in an old abandoned building. Is a clue on the front of it?
No. But also, it starts to get stupid. Like, at one point you pick up a newspaper and your character picks it up backwards first and then turns it over. It's like, are they an idiot? Like, oh, look at this important document. Better check the back of it first, just in case there's key information on the back of this book. Nope, definitely not.
No, just
now I'll look at the title. Oh, there we go.
Oh, there it is.
Killer identity. Got it.
Oh.
Yeah, it got really tedious, especially when the button prompts in the action scenes are so on point and just really well integrated in the action. Like picking that just
I'm
slows
literally just
stuff
picking
down.
something up. Like it should not be this difficult.
I thought maybe there was a point for it. Like I kept thinking, they make it deliberately slow because you'll have to do it in a rush, or maybe one day you'll pick something up, turn it around, and there'll be a jump scare on it.
I was so waiting for that entire time.
But it never happened, and so it was just pointless. It's a minor thing, but in a game that does encourage you to collect a lot of stuff.
And it's important too as well, because it can actually influence your survival.
It can. Like, it can affect the whole story. Although that said, there is something I did love as well. Like there was one sort of chapter when I was one character exploring a particular environment, and I found a lot of clues just from my own exploring. And when I regrouped with other characters, my character actually relayed that information.
Yeah, that happened to me too, and it was excellent.
It was like, hey guys, I learned this and this and this, and it made you feel like, oh, I'm not just ticking boxes to get a trophy.
That's right.
This is actually, building the story out.
Yeah, it didn't feel arbitrary or sort of just pointless, like, oh, we got to put some collectibles in here. It really did influence the story, which I liked a lot.
And then the other niggly thing I had was that every chapter it did previously on Until Dawn, and it's a 9-hour game. It's not super long, so you will be playing it in longish sittings, I guess.
Yeah,
so
I pretty much did it in a day. So, like, not all of them, but, like, within, 24 hours or, like, a day and a half. And so, I was really confused about it at first. So, like, I was just wondering why, basically. So, I'd just done what they were recapping, and I didn't understand, well, why am I seeing this? What's going on?
It's like, previously on Until Dawn, I know that character's dead. I just did that. Still feeling bad about it.
We just saw this, right? But it makes a little bit more sense, like, as I previously mentioned before, when you do finish the game, you can go back and replay chapters, which I haven't done yet, but I imagine that's going to kick in straight away. So that makes sense, but it couldn't have been that hard just to throw a mechanic in to not have that with your first playthrough.
No.
But, so, who would you recommend this sort of game for? Do you reckon,
look, any horror fans, I would say.
Yeah.
I'd say any horror fans, but particularly the people who are skeptic of these kind of games, who didn't like the Quantic Dreams game, I'd say it's much better pacing than Beyond Two Souls or Heavy Rain.
Yeah.
There is much less filler. You're not going to spend as much time just walking around and cleaning plates as a minigame.
That's right, yeah.
It gets started pretty early on. There's really great atmospheric horror and just a cool story that you try to get to the bottom of.
Yeah, absolutely. And even though 9 hours doesn't seem like much, this is not the Order situation. It's all 9 hours of good. Certainly not.
No.
It's 9 great hours, and you don't feel cheated by it. At least I certainly didn't. I thought that it was, all killer, no filler. Definitely worth it, and there's obviously plenty of replay value. So I would agree. Any sort of horror fan, I don't even say people who wouldn't necessarily be into this sort of genre. Like, if you love really good narrative based stories as well, like, I'd really give it a go, because I don't think it was so terrifying that you're going to, as you say, cower in a corner. It's just such a cool story.
And I wouldn't anyway, because I'm heaps tough.
Yeah, I've seen you at 4 in the morning when I've gone to the bathroom now.
Hiding.
Yeah, that's
Garrett. Yeah.
I would highly recommend it to anyone who's a fan of horror, or just a really goddamn good narrative, or wants something a little bit different from a horror game. Also,
like a side note, I think it's a fun game to play with a spectator as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So if you have a partner or a flatmate or a friend or whatever who maybe isn't as great at horror games, but it is a game you can watch and sort of make these decisions together and yell and be like, go left, hide, run. It's
oh god.
I think it's a really accessible horror game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Way less daunting, I reckon, than the stuff that's out there.
Yeah. So highly recommended. Check it out, and once you've played it, hit us up and let us know what you thought. Obviously, you can find us at geekbomb.net, at geekbomb pretty much everywhere. Ben, where can we find you?
I've got a cheeky little website called bigheadmode.com.au, and you can find out all the details about us, podcast, and a live show that we do every month in Sydney.
Yeah, I heard some legend actually does the PR for that.
Maybe, no, never heard of it.
Thanks for joining us, guys, and get on it and enjoy it, and don't get too scared.
No, and if you do, just just remember the 3 rules to survival. Reload, reload, reload. You'll be fine.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.